Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel today. If you're new here, my name is Allie. So nervous to film this. So it should have went up by now, but I mentioned wanting to start a new series where I talk about mysteries and like murders and all that stuff. So today is my first one. So I'm not gonna dilly-dally. I'm just gonna say if you enjoy these type of videos, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And yeah, I need to get started because I'm losing light here. We are going to talk about the Setagaya family murders. I have notes. This took place in the city of Setagaya. The family's name was Miyazawa, but it's frequently known as the Setagaya murders. It's like a section in Tokyo, from what I understand. There's not a whole lot of information about the case, especially in English, but I found what I could. The Wikipedia page is actually like literally this big, which for a murder case of like this magnitude is kind of surprising, but I don't know. But on December 30th at around 11 p.m., that's when the husband of the Miyazawa family was coming home from work. When he got home, it's presumed that the other family members were already dead. The two children were stabbed, and so was the mother. The mother was 41. Her name was Yozuko, the 8-year-old daughter named Nina, and the 6-year-old named Ray. The father was 44, and his name was Mikio. And they're presuming that he got home at around 11:30, and he was killed by the person in the house. What's interesting about this is that they were killed at, like I said, around 11:30, and the suspect stayed in the house for around 11 hours is what they're guessing. And while he was there, he just hung out. He ate some ice cream. He went through the family's computer. He ransacked the place. It was rumored. I found a couple rumors that potentially they had like millions of dollars in their house because there was a land developer that was trying to build a park right by their house. They were trying to buy out all of the landowners, which is why there was like no houses by their one house. But there's like a lot of speculation about this. I did some research about like Japanese culture, and apparently it's not uncommon in Asian culture to carry a large amount of cash. Like people pay their bills in cash, but again, that's kind of, I've heard differing things about it. So I don't know if that's true, but the whole house was ransacked. Initially they thought there were multiple perpetrators because the house was in such a mess that it seemed like there had been multiple people in the house, but there was only one set of footprints found within the house. There was around $2,000 stolen as well. But the brutality of the murders is what makes this whole thing a mystery. Didn't seem like your typical burglary, because if it was your typical burglary, if the mom and the kids were home, they could have just killed them and taken the money. So it was either that the father walked in on the burglary or it was planned ahead of time. What's even weirder is, like I said, he ate ice cream, he stayed at their house, and there was a lot of evidence, like DNA evidence found at the scene. Person that was there had eaten a bowl of ice cream. They had gotten on the family computer. They had like folded up their bloody clothes and like put it, not necessarily their bloody clothes, but like the clothes with all the blood on it, had folded it up and like set it down in the house. And the weirdest thing, and the reason this case has stuck out to me forever, is because the perpetrator pooped in their home and left it. And that's where they got a lot of the evidence, like for DNA, and were able to distinguish like what his ethnicity could potentially be. They were also able to identify that he was a male, and they were also able to identify what he had eaten that day. And so there was a ton. Oh, and they also found 2 knives with fingerprints on it. One of the pieces of clothing that they had found was actually like, to me it seemed rare, like maybe this isn't rare, it would be rare here. But there was this sweatshirt that they had found. There was only like 200 or 300 in that area that had been sold. And they were only able to locate 12 of the people that had purchased it. And again, that kind of goes back to the whole cash situation. They wouldn't have been able to locate it if people were paying in cash. But I found that kind of interesting that they were able to find that out based on that, because that's like a really rare, it was something that was imported from China, and it was really rare. The other piece of evidence, that morning, the next morning of December 31st, which was Christmas Eve, there were 3 men that were picked up by a taxi, and they were covered in blood. They actually left blood in the taxi. and the taxi person came forward and they took, the evidence from the taxi, and it really didn't lead to anything other than kind of corroborating the theory that there could be other people involved, but at the same time there was still only that one set of footprints. I found out this was the longest or largest investigation ever in Japanese history. There were 264,444 investigators and 16,000 pieces of evidence. And even now there are 40 officers still on the case full time. So I found that really interesting. The reward for it is 20 million yen, which is 187,000 American dollars. And there's lots of different theories about who could have done it, because that's basically all the evidence that they have. But there's lots of theories on who could have done it. From the sample of DNA that they found, they were able to find that it was a suspect with type A blood. The mother was European and the father was Asian. The percentage of that, though, is unclear based on the evidence. Like, it could have been, like a 50-50 split, or it could have been like 136. So that really doesn't tell much, but it is a male with that type of personality. They also think that he could have been a young guy, and he also had a strange diet. There were string beans and sesame seeds found in his poop, which I found interesting. And there was also sand found in the house from the shoes, and that sand was from an air base in California. And this aspect of the case is the reason a lot of people think it's someone in the military, and that's why they've never been found. It was kind of one of those situations where they dropped in, stole some money, killed somebody, and left. I did some research because I knew that there's some military bases in Japan. And another interesting thing that I found is, and I should have written down the names, but driving distance, there's one naval base that's 1 hour away, and then by flight, the Okinawa, which is the big naval base, that one is a 40-minute flight away. There's been a history in the past of Navy bases, or people in the Navy, I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of crime going on, and some not so great things, not necessarily murder, but just some not so great things. Because they also thought he could have been an American, which again would be another reason why they couldn't find him. There was a theory that he was connected to South Korea, but even then, there's also an army base in South Korea. So there's all these different connections, but the aspect of him being from South Korea was never proven. So that's pretty much all the evidence and all the theories, or all the evidence. As far as theories are concerned, there's been a few. One of the theories that didn't hold a lot of water was that the perpetrator was a female. And that's been kind of debunked just based on the fact of the sheer force of the violence. They don't think a female could have done it by themselves. And just based on the footprints, there was only one set of footprints found. And it was proven with the fecal matter that it was a man. There could have been a female present, but again, this just is an unfounded thing. I also found something interesting that a few days or a few months before all this, there was a post on 2chan or 4chan that talks about killing animals, and there'd been a number of dead animals found near that Setagaya property, which there's a lot of links between torturing animals and murder. So that was something interesting. There was also several burglaries that had went on within a certain time frame, and they just kind of stopped, which again was another reason that there was a theory that the person was potentially in the military and had left. There was a rumor that it was a South Korean militant, and it was an assassination. But that's something else that doesn't really hold a lot of water, just because the people that were killed were normal people. They weren't politicians. It's not that they weren't special, because of course they were special. Everyone is special, but they just weren't someone that would have a hit on them. They didn't have mob connections. As far as I could tell, people really liked them. They were just nice, good people, your average people. So it wasn't, thinking it might be a mob hit or something just really didn't make any sense. And again, it wasn't drug related or anything like that either. I don't really know what I believe. I think I think the military theory holds a lot of water. They're still actively investigating it. The case has never been closed, and at no point has there been a stop to the investigation. The 20-year anniversary is coming up. It's like been around 18 years now, and the police have said, we are going to find these people before the 20-year anniversary. They are very dedicated. It didn't seem like the police had made a mistake, which a lot of these unsolved cases, you see a lot of mistakes within the police. Didn't seem like there was a lot of mistakes within the police. They really are dedicated to finding him or her, but it's most likely him, and bringing justice to the families. It's not something that they've put on the back burner. It's not something anyone has really forgotten about. They've really